Hello, my friends. It's just me and the lantern here. Let's talk about some stuff that a lot of you're all amazing. Thank you for being interested in this phenomena of common ison. I'm glad that you have all looked at some of my pages. I've tried to be informative with my visions that I've been sharing about this comet. I want to talk to you about some of your questions, and I'll answer these questions the best of my ability. We'll talk about what type of meteors have been witnessed hitting the Earth, meteorites, boloids. We'll talk about the bigger meteors and what the impact can be on our terrestrial environment on the Earth. We'll talk about what extraterrestrial elements, what threats that they can pose to our environment, and we'll talk about the different type of elements that come from other worlds and how they may behave differently as meteorites, depending upon their composition and whether their composition is an active, highly reactive element that reacts violently, such as catches on fire and drips hot lava, or explodes like an atom bomb or a hydrogen bomb, or if there are other meteors that are more dense in nature that survive the actual magnetic shield and then tumble through like super cannons and hit the ground and cause earthquakes and break things to bits and send out what is called the ground shock wave. It's an impact wave that's caused by two objects smashing together at a high velocity. So we're going to talk about this real quick. We're going to talk about some different things that you can look at. Now, I'm not specifically affiliated with anybody that I'm talking about. And I will talk about certain YouTube videos that you can look at. I'm not going to go into detail about that right now because I don't really have the permission to do that. We'll talk about different videos, and then you'll have to go and search for this stuff yourself on some keyword searches on a YouTube video channel. Now, so far what's happened, we've got dust that is accumulated in our stratosphere. If you want proof of that, all you have to do is look at the sky and take a look at the sky on a clear day, and you can see a grayish looking tint to it that you couldn't see before. Now, depending on where you are, if you're at the North Pole or the South Pole, it is denser there because the magnetic and metal particles and even crystalline particles kind of move and are attracted to the what is called the black body space dust of another type of material that's kind of from different types of comets or whatever, asteroids or pieces of whatever it broke apart and is stuck in that magnetic field. That stuff is accumulating in our upper atmosphere, and like videos before I told you, it would form an micron, a grid, like a field, a grid that is little bitty microns spread out throughout the whole stratosphere, that it will, that is more bunched up around the north and south poles, creating basically it will create it will create a means for the building energy charge to flow through, is what I'm trying to explain. And when it does that, a positive ionic charge will be present in the upper atmosphere. It will then move away from there, into the lower atmosphere, into the clouds, if there are clouds, and if there aren't clouds, there will just be a series of lightning bolts from this increased electrical charge that strike the Earth. They will strike the Earth more frequently, just as they have been. They will add to the storms, the storm's power. They will add to the energy vortexes that are in our Earth. They will supercharge those vortexes. Those vortexes will then lose some of that charge to the center of the Earth, and then it will go back out again as upward lightning. And you can type it into YouTube. If you don't know what upward lightning is, look at my profile page. Ground lightning is lightning that comes out of the ground and goes toward the heavens. So this is what we're dealing with so far. It's been an increase in all these things going on. A whole lot of more people have been killed and injured by lightning since this been going on in January. Now, some of the other types of materials that are hitting the Earth. There have been so-called UFOs being filmed. Now, I filmed one too. A lot of it's been around the moon. Some of it's looks like a pyramid on top and a pyramid on bottom. So it's like a diamond-looking pyramid, something like on one side and the other, that people are filming. And I'm not so sure that it's an actual alien spacecraft. I guess it could be, but I'm looking for something that might resemble some of the gemstones on Earth in their formations, because I've seen that fluorite crystals take that formation, and it could be that some of these meteorites that came in with ice on of a material that kind of defy gravity when they get into the atmosphere. And so some of these materials, they're moving at a high velocity, but when they hit our magnetic shield and they get past that, they get to where they're moving and they're dripping lava off of them, hot stuff's falling off those things, and then they just stop or they change directions, because in theory some of these materials have anti-gravity type elements that react with the gravity once they get into the to the Earth's atmosphere. They kind of float around and move with the the changing magnetic fluctuations that occur between the North Pole and the South Pole. Now, that is just a theory, but it is probably one of the more likely things that are occurring. I think that's what we're seeing with a whole lot of these different type of objects. They're materials that possess anti-gravity properties, and this is something that a lot of people have filmed. And so when these things are dropping, some of them are drizzling off like hot lava that's falling out of the sky, and starting forest fires, all sorts of different things. It happened in Germany. It happened all over the place. It happened in Africa. It's been all over the place. And so these various different types of crystal and shaped huge objects, some of them people believe to be UFOs, but a UFO can also be, as I told you before, some type of large element that's an anti-gravity asteroid or meteorite, and those do exist. It's hard to prove because they're moving around with the magnetic fluctuation of the Earth, and a lot of times you can't track them because the fluctuations are always changing. And there's stuff up there floating around all the time, and they don't have any idea what it is. So these objects are hitting our Earth. An asteroid. Here's another thing. Okay, Russia has been at the lead of supplying public knowledge. I mean, they told their people, they told the world that an asteroid was going to hit the Atlantic Ocean, and they were completely right. And while everybody here stonewalled and wouldn't tell the public what was going on because they're fearing some so-called whatever they're fearing, hysteria. Russia stepped up to the plate and told the people what was going on. They told the whole world there's going to be a asteroid impact somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. They thought it was going to be serious, but it happened to hit in just the right spot to where it did a whole lot less damage than it could have done if it would have hit, say, 50 yards from the coast, or about 100, 400, 500 yards out from the coast. So that's just one asteroid out of probably about, we're looking at thousands of objects as big as that and bigger that we're gonna pass through. And here's the other thing: the Earth's gonna come back around again, and a whole lot of that stuff in the trajectory, as ISOM broke apart, will still be right there again, and the Earth will keep on going through it again and again. I don't know where they think it's going to go, because some of it probably came to us, to just a drift. It's just drifting, and it's just like that stuff in the asteroid belt. It's just stuck right there until something hits it or moves it, and the Earth will be spinning in that same orbit over and over again. So we're not out of this yet. I don't believe we are, and in my vision I've seen a whole lot more stuff going on with our increases in natural disasters and storms and all sorts of stuff. I also wanted to tell you about my vision about something that's called a sand hurricane. And this happens when the energy vortexes under certain deserts are highly supercharged, and by the phenomenon we're talking about. And sort of like when a hurricane happens in the ocean, there's you have that difference between warm and hot. Sorry about that. It's hot and cold temperatures, the difference. And so the perfect recipe for a hurricane involving water, in the scriptures it talks about something called a whirlwind, and a lot of people mistakenly they mistake that for a tornado, but the scriptures weren't written about Kentucky and all those flat states here in the North America. It was written about the Middle East, and so there's the desert out there. And for a long time the Earth has been depleted of a lot of its gold, and the different vortexes have kind of been disturbed in certain areas where people have taken the salt out, and they've taken the gold and all this stuff, the crystals, and so it's really been kind of at a loss for its natural bioelectric energy field. It's chi, some people call this in the East, or ki, and aki, or whatever it is, that people look at it in different ways. But there's an increase now in this natural bioelectric energy that is rapidly increasing on Earth, as its elements and powers, including humans. And so it's basically a hurricane that happens in the desert, and it's so powerful it can do a whole lot of damage. And so that is something else that I had seen in a vision. So basically we talked about this asteroid that hit, I think it was called 2014 AA asteroid, and so it hit and smashed into the Atlantic Ocean. We're not sure if they're telling us all about this. We don't know how many fish died. I mean, if you take one stick of dynamite and throw it out of the boat and it hits the ocean, all sorts of dead fish float up. So I'm wondering how many fish died when this thing hit the Atlantic Ocean. So we don't know that yet. They haven't told us. So depending upon what it was made of, it could have been some sort of extraterrestrial element that's toxic to the marine life, the ocean life. And so there are high alarms going off right now, to where each person needs to consider themselves spiritually and pray, trying to get themselves in a spiritual mind form, because there's no telling what could happen. We are not out of this. This is something that's continuing, and we need to be watchful and ready for it, because it's been happening. It's not going away, and I feel like we're going to deal with it again and again as we continue to on our same orbit into these particles that are just going to be camping out right here in that same spot pretty much, and including the the other stuff that fell apart from ISON that hasn't made its way to this point yet. So be safe. Again, as I told you before, all the God, all, and Zaza is the word of the all God. So that is the way to enlightenment, and also the mind form to where you can accept God for better or worse, whether there's disaster, or everything's all right, or everything's secure, whether there's peace or whether there's chaos. You have to have the will to keep believing in some serenity, no matter what happens. So I'll make another video for you, my friends, and we'll talk about this in the future if it's meant to be. So thanks a lot.